So, here's a fun idea. For those who don't know, one of my favorite movies of the 50s sci-fi era was a little movie called Them. Now, for those who don't know what Them is, Them was part of the giant radioactive sci-fi era of the 50s that pretty much dominated the 50s. And Them was an interesting one because not only did this movie come out in the same year as Godzilla, in fact, I think it came out in the same month as Godzilla was premiering in Japan. 1954, this is when this movie came out. Like I said, same year as Gojira. It actually follows a lot of the same beats as Gojira. In that, it's people talking about the harm of radioactive power, what it could do to mankind, what these creatures could do against mankind, and essentially talking about like how the world is affected by it. And it very much, like I said, follows a lot of the same beats as the original Godzilla film. Now, this movie, Them, is known far and wide as one of the best of that era of 50s movies. Why? Well, it's not just because of the giant ants, it's because the thing is, unlike a lot of the 50s era films of that era that played it campy and dumb and whatever, Them was one of the few films of that era to play it like a straight film. Like, this is a legit problem, this is a real thing. It's not like, oh, we're just going to half-ass this whole movie the whole time. No, this movie did its damnedest to be a credible film. And I decided, wouldn't it be great, instead of doing a remake, what if we did a sequel? What if we did a long time, like an over 60-year sequel to a film? I mean, it hasn't stopped a lot of movies getting sequels that we think wouldn't get one, right, Blade Runner? Anyway, so this movie, the sequel to Them, what would it be called? Them 2? Nah, son. I would dub this movie Fear Them. I wouldn't go with Them 2 or whatever. I'd just go with the whole new wave instead of calling it like Movie 2 or Movie 3. Just add a title or add like a little extra line to it. So this movie would be called Fear Them. Now, Fear Them, this movie would be set in present time. This movie would be set in present time, and you're already thinking, how the hell, Multi, are they gonna? How are you going to explain? How would you explain over 60 years and no one's heard of giant ants since the 50s? Because here's the thing: in the movie, they straight up say, there are giant ants in California right now. Be prepared. So I would have it that, yes, that thing was documented. The whole war against the ants was documented, but it ended. That's when it just, everyone thought it was done. But here's the thing. Ants are really intelligent, especially when you make them bigger. These ants, some of the colonies managed to escape along with young queens and build nests all over the U.S. And they've been mostly focusing on remote parts in the Midwest. So, places as far as they've gotten was, Colorado. So everywhere, the U.S. has been finding nests all along from as far as close to Canada and as south as Mexico. But they've managedly been keeping them in the West for the most part. And only in controlled air, they've been managed to find controlled nests. And ants, if you haven't realized it yet, ants are tough to get rid of. And if you think small ants are bad, imagine giant car-sized ants that are... So there's been a secret war going on in the government for over 60 years to contain these ant threats. And the reason why no one's heard about it is because, again, the government's been covering up. The government has been essentially, blocking a lot of news and media in order to keep this sound. Because, while it's documented that, the ants were, there were giant ants, this time around, they want to keep it, under control because they don't they don't want to tell the public that, hey, these things are still around, and they thought they won. But it wouldn't be, I would have it that they discovered, 6 months later after destroying the nest they found in L.A., they got reports of another nest, and another, and another, and another. And it just downward spiraled into this secret war with these ant colonies, who are now producing even further. Because here's the thing, ants learn real quick. Ants learn real quick, and when these ants are irradiated, their brains are moving faster. It's not like I would not do something stupid like the ants can talk, or the ants can, like, mind control people or something. That'd be very much like Empire of the Ants, the H.G. Wells story. And I don't want to do that. What it would be, however, is that the ants are getting smarter, and their communication is actually, like, they can now pick up radio waves, so they can actually pick up radio airwaves and transmissions between people. When they find out a nest is under attack or about to be burned, they get the young queens out of there. They get any new queens or the queen or any form of, like, any way to keep the lineage going out of there and move it to somewhere else. So that's where they've evolved to, is where that's how they've been living so long, is because they evolved this ability to find out, so they can be, like, 2 steps ahead, an early warning system. They've also, like, over the years, they've been evolving, like, harder skins, so they're more bulletproof. They can still get killed by bullets, but you gotta put a lot more ammo into them now. They've also evolved, like, more toxic venom. They've also, like, that's the thing about, you would think that they're not just growing big. If this radioactive bloodline kept going, that they would probably keep evolving and mutating. So that's what I'd like to do, and that's what this story would be, is, like, this new, like, either a new government agent brought into this secret war with the ants, or someone is about to break the silence on this secret ant problem, and now the public and the world at large is about to find out that these ants are out there, they're multiplying, and we're starting to slowly lose this war. And I would definitely have it that the world is like, you didn't tell us? What the fuck? And that's the other thing, is that some of the ants I would have, like, they've escaped and are trying to make it, like, they've tried before to make it off American soil and, like, populate somewhere, like, in Mexico, or, well, they've gotten to a few places in Mexico, but the U.S. managed to cover it up real quick. But they're trying to reach, like, other places, like, they're trying to reach, like, Hawaii, or as far as Japan. I'd really love to play with this. There's so many angles I would love to do with this, but that's just like a loose idea I would do with a sequel to Them. I never get to talk about this film, so I'm really happy I got to finally, like, do a video on this. And hopefully maybe there are some fans out there of this classic film. Like I said, this follows a lot of the old beats of, like, Gojira, and it's definitely one of the best of that 50s era of science fiction films. So if you haven't seen Them, go watch it. You're definitely going to enjoy it. And yeah, I would just, like, this has such, like, potential. Like, obviously it would probably be a remake first. If we ever got another another part of Them, it would probably be more than likely a remake more than anything else. So yeah, I just thought it'd be fun to do the idea for a sequel. But you guys tell me in the comments below, what do you guys think of this idea for a sequel to Them? Do you guys like the idea? Do you guys hate the idea? And how would you do a sequel to Them? Just comment below, let me know, and once again, I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.